And we're live.
Yay.
Yeah, let's welcome everyone to another episode of the Curious Leaders Path. I'm here with Joanne. Kat can't join us today,
Mm,
but Joanne and I are going to have a really good conversation. And our topic for today is, what are you holding on to?
mm.
So Joanne, what's important here?
Well, can I first off say that I have a cold? So if all of a sudden this thing goes off and I start coughing, it's just because, so Todd assures me he'll wait or he'll continue on the
We'll
conversation. So
figure it out.
please
It's
forgive me
all
if
good.
that happens. Yeah. All right. But it's really interesting, right? Because we started to talk about this particular topic.
Mhm.
More so we're looking at the end of the year and we're going like, oh, like I'm really curious about what is it like for this year we need to let go of, right? What
Mhm.
would leaders need to let go of before going into the next year?
Mhm.
And so that's why we started this conversation was like,
Yeah.
if we let go of this stuff, right? What would be possible?
Yeah.
Um, and
What's there room
and
for?
yeah,
Right?
right, yeah. Believe me, it creates huge amounts of room. Oh,
Hmm.
and but let's start off with let's talk about what does acceptance mean?
Hmm.
Or maybe should we say acceptance or just like what does letting go mean to you? Sorry, letting
Yeah.
go mean to you. Let's start with that.
Oh, okay. Letting go. Letting go to me means, okay, for maybe it's easier if I talk about it in examples, because for me in 2023, letting go meant letting go of the things that were holding me back.
Mm,
Letting go, and specifically letting go of limiting beliefs about my capability, about what I could do if I put my mind to it, letting go of the fear associated with doing things that I didn't really know how to do. Because I feel like I spent this year doing a ton of things that I didn't really know how to do. And here I am on the internet having a conversation with you, and we started that at the beginning of this year, not knowing, you know, how to do this. Um, so to me, letting go means there's an opening up that's associated with it. And it's interesting because as I say that, I think of some of the things that my parents said to me, and I make up that a number of our parents said them to us. It's like, um, what's the one? Quitters never win and winners never quit. Remember
oh,
that? Right.
oh. I mean, I can't quit. Like I was never. I couldn't. Whatever I started, I had to finish. Like that's
Exactly.
what when I. That's what
Yep.
quit meant for me. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my
and
gosh.
and
Yes.
and sometimes you ended up finishing something that was just terrible, because it there was no opportunity to experiment.
Mm.
And that's just it. Actually, the other thing that's coming up to me when I think of that is, there's something very agile about letting go, isn't there?
Say more.
Well, I mean, if I think of iteration and experimentation and trying it out, right? Like, there's an opportunity to kind of go, "Yep, is this going to work? Oh, wait, no, that didn't work. I'm going to let it go. What's
Yeah.
next? What's the next thing?" And the act of letting that go within that context literally makes space for something else, something that will work better. Well, so how does that then apply, not just within the context of building something, but within the
Yeah.
context of leading, whether it's leading myself or leading other people or leading from behind or from the front or from the side or whatever.
It's cool that you said that around. I didn't think of this from an agile perspective, but the more that we do those experiments and the more that we let go of what the results are,
Mm-hmm.
right? The more that we experiment, the more that we learn. So it's all about learning
Mm-hmm.
versus passing or failing type of thing. You just
Mm-hmm.
keep and the more you get used to it, right? The easier it is to kind of
Right.
let go. I
Right.
make up that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um but it's interesting for me, like when I start thinking of letting go, um I think it's actually interesting when you started to talk about 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've started a huge amount of sustainability stuff this year, huge,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so, there's this whole aspect of, you know, um, that I think the limiting beliefs, can I do this? Can I do this? And I was just doing so much work on it, right? And and this aspect of, will people be interested in it, for example? So there's all super doubts and fears, right? But letting go served me in a way from that perspective, because it was like that thing of just keep moving on. Like, even though it's the doubts and all that stuff are there, you could hear it that comes up. I don't think you'll ever get rid of them, right? But it's like, yep, that's you, Joanne. You go into that thing. And that's really funny though, because when I've been, and I hope a lot of people are able to, or are at my stage, or maybe even, they're learning how to do this themselves. But once you can see your thoughts, you can actually see your thoughts and how they pop up. It's incredible. Like, my thoughts automatically go to a negative thing first, and I go on, oh, fuck. Oh, I get it. Right. And it's who I am. Right. It's just, that's how I was born. Those are the biases that I had. And it's sort of like accepting, when I start to accept that, oh, this is how I'm wired. It was like, oh, okay then. And now I laugh at myself all the time. Yeah, that's why the doubt. Okay, you doubted again. Ha ha. That's normal. It's okay, hon. That's the way you go. It's sort of like, but you start, when you start to accept yourself at that deep level, right? That really helps. I don't know how this is going to help all the leaders who are out there who are curious about this, but acceptance for me, or letting go, to me, is all about accepting it, right? And then once I accept it, space then opens up. Like, I'm no longer held by that thing. So letting go is, for me, not being held by that thing anymore, or recognizing it for what it is, and just, okay, great. And so all of a sudden it doesn't have that, strength on me as it did before. And then I can continue on. Not to say that it doesn't keep coming back, because it will. Like, it's hard. But I think the more that you kind of let it go, right, the less it has that hold on you, the less, you worry about it. And I think this, in coactive, for example, this is a big thing about noticing, right? Oh, it's like I was saying before. Oh, I noticed this happening, right? So accept it, and then off it goes. And it just doesn't have that hold on me anymore.
Yeah. It's so interesting, because it's like, what comes up for me when you say this is, we may have to let go of the same thing many, many, many times.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Until we get used to it, because it's not a one and done, is it? When I think of, letting go of my limiting beliefs, letting go of my fears of what people will think of me, letting go of my fears of doing things that I haven't done before. I mean, I got to do that every day. Like, I need to consciously do it every day. But what's really interesting is I need to consciously do it every day, and I don't need to do it about all the same things that I did earlier this year, because some of those things, like, now it's part of my DNA to let it go. And I think you're right. It's not even letting it go anymore. It's just noticing, oh yeah, there you are. Look at that. There you are. Look at that particular fear. I wonder why you're still here. Don't you have something better to do?
Yeah, exactly. Love you. You just like, pick it up, put it over here. Thank you very much. Put it over there. I know you'll show up again. I love this aspect of what you're just saying, which is like every day, right? And every day you can look at, well, what is it that I need to let go of today, right? That doesn't serve me, or whatever the case may be. But you know what? It's just so reminds me of me when I was a leader at TELUS. And I remember this whole thing about a monkey on the back. Have you ever heard about the monkey on the back?
Yes, I have heard.
Yeah. And
I don't remember the story, but
yeah, no. I think there's probably a whole article about it. But when I would sit down with team members when they would be anxious, right? Because what it is that when we our fear of something happening, right? Like the letting go is basically letting go of those fears, right? Of those doubts. It may be fears or doubts. For these guys, it was the
Mhm.
anxiety that was really fearful. And I would
Yeah.
ask them, I go, if you were to drop like two or three things, right? So just imagine you have a bunch of monkeys on your back, right? Like
Mhm.
what are the three monkeys that if you drop would make you stand up that much taller? And that kind of like standing up taller, like
Mhm.
Superman pose type of thing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Um, that really did it. And it was really interesting whenever I took whenever okay, give me that, okay, great. You don't need to do that
Mhm.
anymore. Give me that, you don't need to do that anymore. And this one here, we'll put it down here too. Right? Maybe we'll delay that one, right? And the relief that it had
Mhm.
on the people that I work for was just incredible, right?
Mhm.
So I look at letting go as of like back to your daily thing. It's like sometimes we just have monkeys, right? Like I have articles to write, I have
Mhm.
bills to pay, I'm worried about, next month what's going to happen. It's
Mhm.
Christmas time, right? Like it's just like all these things. And if I can just like, okay, let's just, put them away in a box. Like you can get back to it later on. Don't worry. They'll, like you said, they'll come back, right?
Mhm.
But if you can take off those three things, it allows you to really, really focus, right? Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's so what's interesting to me with what you're saying is, these monkeys on the back, whatever they are, whether it's, um, the fear, the anxiety, the workload that's too large, or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
It's We carry those things around with us, and they become so familiar. And I think
Mm,
when they become familiar, they become safe, right? Like it's sort of that feeling that even when something is damaging, or even when something is harmful to us,
mm,
it's so familiar and so comforting because it's always there, that we can't imagine what it would be like without it. I there's
is that
there's
like
this
me
play.
drinking wine on
Well,
Friday with my
it's
chocolate and
maybe I
like
there's
it's
there's a line from a play called Night Mother from a long time ago. It was made into
yeah.
a movie, and in it, the daughter says to her mother, I love cigarettes because they're better than any of the other friends that I have. And the reason why is because they're always there when I need them, and they're always exactly the same as they were the last time. And of course, they're terrible for her.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
but
It's just like
but
yeah, yeah,
they're always there when she needs them, and always exactly the same as they were the last time. And if we don't actually think about that practice, or if I don't think about that practice of like, well, what could I let go,
yeah. Hmm.
then all of a sudden, I'm back to, they're always there when I need them, and they're always exactly the same as they were the last time, even though they're holding me back, even though they're keeping me down, even though they're not helping.
So you get really curious about those things that are really, really difficult to let go because they're
Mhm.
so ingrained within our
Mhm.
system. That's almost like the aspect of me and my my wine and my, my chocolate, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, because and it's this it's very hard. It's very, very challenging, and I would
Mhm.
spend more time beating myself up because I couldn't do that. I was unable. I know it's wrong. I know that I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. And it's really it's interesting for me because this whole fighting back and forth is good or bad, good or bad, good or bad, right, gets into the ego aspect, right?
Yeah.
So it's just myself that's sort of clinging on to it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a very difficult. I find it very difficult and challenging. And it's interesting because the acceptance part of all this to me
Mhm.
is So all those thoughts, right? Of I should do this, I shouldn't do that, I should do more
Mhm.
of that, I should do this, I have to do this. Like it's all these things, right, that are going through my mind. Um, if I can just accept this is again my thoughts, right, that are going through my head,
Mhm.
then okay, great. It drops immediately and stops playing in my head. And I guess the bonus of all of that is actually able to kind of free up my mind to do other things because
Mhm.
I don't worry about it once I do that. But that
Ah,
the reaching out to the chocolate still happens because it's like this automatic thing, right? It's just like but now what's happening is I'm not beating myself up as much anymore, right?
yeah.
But I'm accepting. It's funny. I'm accepting that I can't accept not being with wine and not being with chocolate, right?
Mhm.
And so, but there's some sort of freedom in that for me.
Yeah, it sounds
But
like
it
you're
keeps
letting
on
go of
coming.
guilt.
Yeah, I am letting
Yeah,
that that is exactly it. I'm letting go of the guilt and the shame of myself by
yeah,
doing that too, right?
exactly. And it
Yeah.
also seems to me that when you let go of the guilt and the shame, then you've got energy that you could put towards something else. And that something else you put
Yeah.
it towards might be finding something to replace
Yeah.
wine and chocolate. Or not, because there's no shame and there's no guilt. And then it really, that letting go gives you agency. And it's about you and not about something else.
Now, question for you. Like just
Sure.
like at the very end of the year,
Yeah.
did you ever have like a routine of letting go of things at the end of the year? Like at work? Like, I mean, I know I used to kind of do some stuff, but what did you do? Like to kind of let go?
So at work,
Yeah, just
um,
your workplace.
yeah, I think actually part of it,
As a leader, sorry, quote unquote, as a
yeah,
leader.
as a leader, the folks the folks who've reported to me who were watching this might I wonder I'd really love to hear from them. I don't know that I had an intentional one, Joanne, to be perfectly honest. I
Oh,
think
okay.
like here's what I always wanted for myself, and I made up that it was what my teams would want to, and that was to really just be able to unplug and and take some time away, like even if it's not like even if the end of the year isn't particularly a family time, because I know that the Christmas season isn't happy for everyone,
Hmm.
but being able to just not be at work and worrying about those things, that was always something that was important for me to try to create for for my team members when they when I had team members, and I guess we were kind of letting go because there was a lot of stuff that just sort of turned into, is this really like, is this really important now, or is this something that could wait until the 3rd of January or whatever? And most, in my situation anyway, most of the corporations that I worked for, um, well, with the exception of the big retail companies, there was an opportunity to kind of do that. But to be honest, in technology anyway, at least even in the big retail companies, by the time the second week of December rolled around, there wasn't anything that you could do. Like whatever was going to happen was going to happen, and whatever sales were going to happen were going to happen, and it's not like anyone wanted you to change anything on Christmas Eve anyway. So I think I know. I think sorry, I just needed to blather until an answer came out. But I think recognizing and noticing and pointing out where the manufactured urgency was,
Oh, wow.
because
Yeah.
there was no shortage, especially at the end of the year, of manufactured urgency. And being able, and maybe this was, it's maybe one of the reasons why I wasn't super popular sometimes with some of my leaders, because I would often like to point out, well, why is this important right now? Like, why is this more important than letting people recharge?
Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because like the pattern of doing this at the end of the year, before your holidays and all that stuff, like the challenge why is it important? It's like it and the ability to kind of like put these things away. If we were able to do that more often, what would that give us, right? What would we be able to do if we could sort of like almost like shut down? Say it's a practice that's once a week, or you know, or whatever the case may be, to kind of like just let's let go of everything, guys. Like let's just come and I've done that before. Let's just forget about everything that's happened. Let's just put it all down. It's like all the monkeys, right? Drop all your monkeys. You know, it's like put all the, and I'll get them to kind of like put stuff on the boards, and I'll do all that stuff. And you know what's really concerning you? What is it? Okay, let's just like push them off to the side. Now what's here, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's amazing what the team can create once you kind of have sort of like recognize that these are things that are filling up in their brains that they're holding on to or they're hanging on to, right? And once they've been heard, once they've known it's put somewhere, once they know it's, you know, categorized and whatever in the bookshelf over there, then and all of us start to feel more comfortable. But to me, it's like, geez, if we could do that a lot better, how much or more often, how much, and deliberately all the time, what kind of difference would that make, right? It'd be so cool.
It would. Okay, so this question isn't in the chat, but I can think of half a dozen people in my world who, if they were listening to this, would put it in the chat, and that's this. So what's the cost of letting go? If we're going to do it more frequently, if we're going to be better at it, I understand what the benefits are. Like, I think we've spent a good amount of time, but what's the cost?
If we don't let go?
Yeah.
I think this is where some really toxic stuff starts to come out, right?
Yeah.
So it's the regret, it's the shame, it's the blame.
Fear.
Fear. It's the fear, because it just all of, and I mean, I think on the opposite side of all that, I mean, there's lack of creativity or innovation. Like there is, people are more shut down, right?
Yeah. You know, an expression that my father used to say is coming up for me, and that's it's funny because he wasn't British, but he used to say penny wise, pound foolish. And it sounds like letting go is, or that practice of letting go and knowing what to let go of, that's a long game. That's an investment, right? And it's easy to play a short game and to push and push and push and not let go. Let all the monkeys stay. Add more monkeys. Because
be the hero.
Yeah,
I can do it.
Right?
And
destroy yourself in the process. Or even worse, destroy your team in the process. Because this needs to get out, that needs to get out, all of this needs to be done. There's too few people and too much work. We're going to be heroes and get it done. And it might get done, but at what cost? And how are they going to finish any of that stuff next time? And how are they going to trust you next time?
Well, and it's so interesting, right? Because when you like, we were talking about biases earlier. So like from a leader's perspective, and this, like I said, I'm going to do this, and we're going to do it, right?
I've been that leader.
Yeah, and me too. And at what cost, right? And at what point in time? Yeah, I've been that leader multiple times now that I actually think about it. Oh my gosh, crazy ass leader I was. Was it bad? It was bad.
I hear you.
Yeah, you feel so bad. But I guess
Yeah.
there's a point to all this, right? Like, there is an aspect that, you don't like, we can say this about leaders, but I think that some leaders just don't know until it hits them. They're like, well, yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't know about monkeys, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this thing done. Because I promised, I'd done this. I said I could do it. I believe the team could do it. We're just gonna, So it's not until you get hit with those first problems or challenges, or that it impacts you as a leader, right? I admit that's when it's going to be the time when you decide to change, right?
Right.
Like, it's just it's not something, I think. I don't know if this comes naturally to some people. But for me, I was that type of person that was just, it was like more of the hero story, right?
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
I came from that kind of thing. Everyone just, and I worked
Yeah.
so hard. I was number one, number two for all these different projects because I did a really great job at it. But I burnt myself out because of it, right?
And when you're a leader, there's more at stake than just burning yourself out. There's burning others out. And the other thing that's coming up for me too, and you'll laugh because you know why I'm reading this. I just finished reading The Anatomy of Peace.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
never read before.
Oh, it's awesome book. Awesome. Anatomy of Peace. Yeah,
exactly. And the perspective that's coming up as you're talking about this is, how much easier is it to let go as a leader when I'm viewing other people as people rather than objects or obstacles?
Yeah, the object is the project that it needs to get done.
Exactly.
Versus the people.
Exactly. The people who have to build it. The people who have to create whatever. The people who have to follow me into whatever it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it would be that I would have to be wrong.
Yeah.
As the leader. And how often am I going to, it's hard to say I'm wrong. Right?
You've just gone full circle back to acceptance.
Yeah.
And that's not just acceptance that you might be wrong. That's acceptance of self. That's radical self-acceptance. Yeah. I am someone who is lovable and acceptable and enough and worthy simply because of who I am, not because of what I produce, not because of what I do. Exactly. Start from there, and things can become clearer about letting go, like one of the monkeys.
Yeah, because at that point in time, I can see now, oh my gosh, there's no way that this project's going to get done. There's no way. The people are getting burnt out. Okay, that original expectation, we need to change that. I was totally wrong. I thought we can't. Okay, guys, now what can we do, right? But there's that aspect of breaking, accepting that, right? Yeah.
That's juicy. That one's juicy, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, we could go again. We could go for like a half an hour talking about
it. We didn't get to half of the stuff we were going to talk about.
No, I know, because we went, of course, guys, we spend like 15 minutes before this talking about what we're going to talk about, and then somehow it kind of goes over left and right. It's just all perfect. But, what we didn't talk about is like, what are some of the things that we could do, or what we could ask or suggest for others to do. And and we had talked about journaling, right? Yes. And I think that is, I think you were already talking about it earlier on, Todd, was, what is it that I want to let go of today, right? Or what am I holding on to, right? Or what is that monkey on the back that I have, right? Or even asking another person, if it's not yourself, like, what monkeys are there that you guys can talk about in terms of trying to see about getting rid of that, so that, you can be free to be more present to do other things.
Exactly. Yeah. The first thing is take stock. Take stock and see what there might be. See what there might be.
Yeah.
And check it out and check in. And I love that. I think that's a really, really good one, because You know, it really is. It's something that I have to do every day. I have to let go of something every day, and being intentional about it makes it simpler. On the days that I am intentional about it, I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect at that practice, but on the days that I'm intentional about it, it makes it easier, because then I can work towards that goal.
Yeah. Oh, and it's in small little increments.
Oh yeah, it's just a little bit. But it's not, what do I need to get rid of forever? It's like, what do I want to let go of today?
Today, which is
Just
wonderful.
today. Yeah.
Or even you get to this moment. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if today is too long, then this morning. Okay,
Yeah.
now this afternoon. Yeah. This hour. Oh,
Oh, wonderful.
Joanne,
Thank
we're
you,
at
Tom.
time. It's always such a pleasure to be with you in this space. And I know we
Me
missed
too.
Kat, and
Yes. Hi,
but she's
Kat.
going to be with us next time. Hi, Kat. I hope you're watching
Yeah.
this. And thanks to everyone else who's
Mhm.
watching too, and who's joining. And thanks, Tomit, who's just joined us in the chat as well. It's great to see you
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So fantastic. And we will see you next time. And the next time will be our last episode of 2023.
I'm excited.
That'll be exciting. That'll be
Yeah.
exciting. And Joanne, I hope you feel better soon.
Oh, thank you. I didn't cough that much. That's good.
No, you didn't. Only the once. We wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't said anything.
Yeah, I know. I
It's
should
all
have
good.
said it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn the broadcast
Thanks.
off. Okay.
Okay.
Bye,
See ya.
all.
Bye. Bye, guys.